So hey guys, today we have Guru Prasad and he is having 3 years of experience in Java, Spring Boot and microservices domain. Let's get started. Hey, hi Guru, how are you?
Hi Faizan, I'm doing all well. How about you?
Yes, I'm also good. So shall we start?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you please introduce yourself and your recent project?
Hi, my name is Guru Prasad. I have
Mm-hmm.
recently working with two major products. I'm working in the Capgemini and working with financial services. My major parts of the development are based
Mm-hmm.
on the monolithic architecture, but not on the microservices architecture.
Okay.
I will be dealing with the underwriting management kind of
Okay.
applications.
So you are having some monolithic application and the sector is banking sector, is it?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
financial services.
Financial service. Okay. So as the data is very critical for financial services. So how you guys are encrypting and managing secrets and all uh, PII things.
Um, for like we are dealing with the backend and we use
Mm-hmm.
the OAuth for the
Oh,
security.
Spring Security. And have you implemented any encryption or decryption algorithm?
Like I personally haven't worked on that part of the
Mm-hmm.
project,
Okay.
but was like having a bit idea of that.
Yeah. Okay. That is fine. That is fine. So, can you please tell me what is the purpose of Spring Boot application annotation and what three annotations does it combine?
At the rate Spring Boot application
Mm-hmm.
annotation is the
Mm-hmm.
starting of the project and it is a
Okay.
combination of the three annotations, that is at the
Mm-hmm.
rate component scan, at the rate
Mm-hmm.
enable auto configuration,
Mm-hmm.
and at the rate component scan, at the
Mm-hmm.
rate enable auto configuration, and at the rate
There is one more configuration component scan and enable auto configuration.
configuration.
Yeah, configuration. Okay, so this is the combination, right, of Spring Boot
Yeah, at the rate
application
configuration.
annotation. If one of the annotation combined by this Spring Boot application annotation conflicts with one of your specific configuration, so how can you exclude it from the application? Like if someone wants to exclude any annotation from this Spring Boot application, so how can someone do that?
Okay, at the main class, we will write
Mm-hmm.
at the rate Spring Boot application. In the
Mm-hmm.
bracket, we can write exclude equal to at the rate.
Exclude it will do.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so how do you implement security in Spring Boot application? Can you share in detail? As you said, you guys are using some OAuth, right? And like
Authentication.
how you
Yeah.
guys are using and how tokens are being generated. Can you please brief me?
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, the first thing is when you are implementing the project, like from the SpringStarter.io,
Mm-hmm.
when you
Mm-hmm.
download the application, you should
Mm-hmm.
add the annotations of OAuth application and all. So
Okay.
after that, we need to configure that particular like bean user ID tokens and all in
Mm-hmm.
means not as part of tokens, but basically we can use based on the user based logins and all, we can use a
Mm-hmm.
username and password for that particular users and all. For let's suppose we are having different classes, controller classes, and
Mm-hmm.
we are opting for the user admin. So in
Mm-hmm.
that case, if you are giving the user credentials that are saved
Mm-hmm.
by
Mm-hmm.
you in the project, you will be accessing to the user the admin roles and all. If you are going
Okay.
for the end user, what do you say, URL,
Mm-hmm.
so you should have the access for the end user. But if you are giving the admin credential there,
Mm-hmm.
it will not work either in the same way in the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's
So, like, how do you handle the scenario where you need to integrate multiple security providers within the same Spring Boot application?
not having much idea. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. So, when integrating multiple security providers, we configure Spring Security to handle different authentication mechanism through a chain of security filters. where each filter can be responsible for different authentication types, such as JOT for APIs and form-based login for web interfaces. So yeah, that's how we can do. So Guru, do you know that we have designed a complete interview preparation package, structured step by step, containing 16 PDFs? So it's basically a one-stop solution to crack any interview. And this package covers Core Java, Spring Framework, Maven, Git, Spring Boot, scenario-based questions, Spring Security, Spring MVC, Spring Data GPA, microservices, Hibernate, general Java coding questions, Stream API coding question, and many more. So the best part is people have been telling me that they crack their interviews with this material, and there is a 99% chance that the interviewers will ask questions from this package. So after this interview, I will share a link with you, and also I'll add in the description of this video. Okay. So moving to our questions. So can you explain the concept and advantages of a Spring Boot starters?
Spring Boot Starter, the main advantage of the Spring Boot Starter over the Spring
Mm,
application is we will be having the annotations, and once we download the application, if you look at the pom.xml file, we will not
mhm,
be in most of the cases will not be having the version name and all. So it will be
mhm,
easy for us to upgrade the project if we are having like
mhm.
any upgrades, version upgrade and all. It will be much easy for us to do in the Spring Boot application.
Okay.
Means over the Spring.
Can we create custom starters?
Custom starters, based on what type of starters we need, we can.
Okay. So do you know or have you created any custom starter?
No, I haven't created any till
Mhm.
now, but
Okay. Okay. So can you tell me how does Spring Boot handle data migrations?
patience.
Like we have some libraries, Flyway or Liquibase, and these tool can be integrated to our Spring Boot application to manage database schema, something like that.
On that.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, these are the tools, Flyway or Liquibase. So we can integrate these tools, and we can take leverage, and we can just migrate any database. Okay. Can you tell me what are the different ways profile in the Spring Boot application? Different ways of profiles. We have profiles, right?
Yes.
Can you tell me what are the different ways? Okay. Okay, tell me one thing. Let's say your Spring Boot application shows different behaviors under development, testing, and production environments. Okay. So how
Yeah.
would you utilize, what would you do in this situation?
Uh, like let us say we will check in the our local thing first thing. So
Mm-hmm.
what is the behavior of the product? And in that case, we need to check out the versions and all.
Mm-hmm.
First thing we will check out with the versions. Afterwards, in the
Okay.
production environment, we have to like recheck in with this
Mm-hmm.
Git versions and all. So this
Mm-hmm.
is the basic like testing
Okay.
scenario we can do.
Okay. We also have some profiles like dev profile, production profile.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So okay. So how can we dynamically switch between different profiles in our running Spring Boot application without restarting the server?
Mm.
Or cannot we do this? Without restarting. Do you know?
We should restart, I guess.
Okay.
First.
Okay. So, okay. Moving ahead, tell me how do you handle exceptions globally in Spring Boot application?
Exceptions globally, we can use the throws keyword. Like if you are declaring any method, if you are
Mm-hmm.
declaring a class, and
Mm-hmm.
you can say that if you are expecting this class to be
Mm-hmm.
throwing some exception, so
Okay.
after the end of the like method, like class
Mm-hmm.
declaration, you will write throws some arithmetic exception,
Mm-hmm.
or if you don't know the exception, any type kind of
Mm-hmm.
exception, you will give throws exception.
Okay.
You can go for the particular line also. In a method, if you are expecting in a particular method you are getting some error, throws new exception and all, you can continue with that thing. Throws
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And also, I think we can also handle globally, right? I mean, we can use exception handler annotation, controller advice.
At that exception handler, yes. Yeah.
Okay. So suppose if you, let's say if your Spring Boot application serves a front end that require very specific error structures. So how would you implement a global exception to meet this requirement? Like what steps would you take?
Sorry, I haven't got your question. One
Okay,
second.
so let's say your backend application serves a front end that requires very specific error structures. Okay, like so, how would you implement global? Can you tell me some custom exceptions name you guys created? Custom exception name, for example, if I'm working on some e-commerce project, so one custom exception can be order ID is not found, something like that. So
Yes, like we will be handling this similar scenario in our like banking application. We will go for sometimes
Go ahead.
the account number will not match many of the times. So there is some exceptions over that thing. So we'll go for some exceptions like at that account number not matched exception, like account number not matched and all. So some of these we have created in the exception handling class. We will be like writing some another class as exception handling. We will like define these exceptions there.
Okay. Okay. So yes, that's what I was asking. You said you have worked on custom exceptions. So can you tell me steps? How do you create custom exceptions? We can create a class, right?
First thing we will create a class. Afterwards, we will annotate it with @exceptions. We will in between inside this class we will like define this exception name, and after that we will write some method key throw this exception throws so and so error and all. Like we will give some custom message over there, and if that exception got hit, this message will be replicating on the screen.
Okay. Okay. So do you know about Kafka?
Not much.
Not much. Okay.
Not
so it means in your project Kafka is not there, right? So can you tell me what is Spring Boot actuator? Do you know?
With the help of the Spring Boot actuator, we can like get the endpoints and all reflected on the console and all. So it will be easy for us to like get the endpoints for what all the controller we are having classes and all. So this is a major help of the actuator.
Okay. So can you tell me the difference between component and service annotation?
@component will declare that particular class as a component, and it will like, and @service is used for the above the class where we will having the business logic written on that.
Okay. So can we use component annotation on the service files?
Like much of the time we can go for the @transactional.
Okay.
I'm not having much idea of the component.
Okay. So have you written custom query in the
inside the repository classes?
Repository.
Yeah.
Okay. So like what is the annotation? Name of the annotation?
@query annotation. After that we will be writing particular. So first thing what we'll do is we will declare the class as @repository. After that we will extend that particular class with let's suppose we are having the generally most of the basic projects will use the JPA repositories. So we are expecting the JPA repositories. Inside that we will be writing queries which are not on the general queries of the which are not on the list of the JPA repository queries. So this is the way we will write. We will write that in the MySQL.
Okay. So have you I mean worked with NoSQL?
Not NoSQL.
Okay. So like do you know which is more preferred with the Spring Boot SQL or NoSQL?
SQL, I guess. NoSQL, I'm not having much idea.
Okay, no worries. So, like, how do you monitor and manage Spring Boot application in production? Let's say you guys deployed your feature changes in production. Now, you have to monitor, and you have to monitor at least 7 days. So, how you guys monitor after deploying in production?
So the first thing when we deploy, we will like
Mhm.
look for some test cases and all. Like for
Okay.
suppose if you are a banking application, we'll look
Mhm.
to create the different accounts with different data and all. So
Mhm.
this is the basic testing scenario which we will be
Okay.
going on.
Mhm.
So after that, there might be some errors that
Mhm.
come up with this one. And the
Okay.
other thing we go for is we check for the consoles if there are any like sort of errors
Mhm.
and all coming all. So
Okay.
generally we use the Datadog application where we will get
Mhm.
the
Okay.
reference when we paste the reference number, we will get a particular error in
Mhm.
which class we are getting error and all.
Okay. So, okay, got it. Uh, can you brief on JUnit test cases? Like, what are JUnit test cases and why do we use them?
So actually what the JUnit test cases are, let's suppose we are developing any like
Mm-hmm.
small story card we are having up with us, and
Mm-hmm.
we are like implemented that thing in our project, and
Okay.
before deploying, before like uh, completing the scenario,
Mm-hmm.
giving to the testing team. So what
Mm-hmm.
we will do is we will just write a small JUnit test case. We will just create a JUnit test class with the
Mm-hmm.
annotation at the rate unit testing. So
Mm-hmm.
inside that, what we'll do is for that particular point of code which we
Mm-hmm.
have generated, we will
Mm-hmm.
write some inputs. Let's suppose
Mm-hmm.
we have generated a method. So
Mm-hmm.
for that method, we will give some inputs, and
Mm-hmm.
we see the expected behavior if it is coming or not. So in this way, we can rectify the errors much easily
Mm-hmm.
than going for the testing scenario.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And what's the role of Mockito?
Keto is type of testing only, like it comes under the JUnit testing only.
Okay.
So
We can fake the data.
yeah, fake the
Mm.
data with that part.
Yes.
Mm.
Okay. And what's the role of Sonar coverage and Sonar Cube in our application? We maintain some coverage, right? Like 70% Sonar coverage, something like that. Okay. Okay. So, moving ahead, uh, okay. So, mm, so what is POM file and why do we use POM file? Can we?
Com.xml file is
Mhm.
having all the like dependencies
Mhm.
files which we
Okay.
like all the dependency URL. Let's suppose we can call it as
Mhm.
database, not database, but
Mhm.
dependencies will be like stored in that. With the help of that, all the dependencies are getting downloaded.
Okay. Okay. So as we were talking about some JUnit test cases. Okay. So can we deploy our application without JUnit test cases,
Like
or is it mandatory?
no, it is kind of matter because we will be having an idea of what is the basic
Yeah, it's a
scenario.
good
Yeah,
practice, right?
yeah, good practice. It is a good practice.
Mhm. Okay. Uh, okay. So moving ahead, can you tell me how uh, auto configuration works in the Spring Boot internally?
Uh, Yeah, at the rate auto configuration, what it will do is it will check for all the dependencies and all
Mm-hmm.
which should be implemented for this particular project. Let's
Mm-hmm.
suppose we are having in the pom.xml we have implemented Spring Data JPA and all. So
Mm-hmm.
it will check for all the dependencies which should be available if there is a Spring Data JPA annotation available. So it
Mm-hmm.
will the auto configuration will help in downloading all the dependencies for that particular dependency injections.
Okay. So can we override auto configuration?
No, maybe.
Okay. So I think we can override.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So moving ahead, mm, have you worked with the Spring Boot dev tools?
Yeah, Spring DevTools.
Can you give a brief on this?
Spring DevTools will help us in like
Mm-hmm.
with the starter, Spring Starter
Mm-hmm.
and all. So with the help of the Spring DevTools, we will be like able to like start the application, run the application like throughout, having a flow
Mm-hmm.
of it and all.
Okay.
So this is the major part.
Okay. So can you tell me what are some potential issues that might arise when using Spring Boot dev tools in a production environment? Because as we know, dev tools is not a good practice in production environment,
Yeah.
right? But like, do you know what potential issues that might arise due to this in a production environment? Okay, so basically, dev tools can increase memory consumption and slow down the application due to frequent class path scanning and restart. So I think that's why it's not recommended to use dev
Mhm.
tools. Okay, so moving ahead. Hmm, do you know about JOT, JWT?
JWT, Java Web Tokens.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So what are these tokens?
Java Web Tokens are used for the like so the security check maybe. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you are using the OAuth or maybe JWT, you will
Mm-hmm.
generate a token first, and after
Okay,
that, this token will be like in the backend. You can check this
okay.
token with a pre-saved token. If the
Mm-hmm.
token is like is true, like if you can match, if it is true, then you will be having the access to that particular page. Otherwise, the access will not be there.
Mm, okay. So can you please tell me the concept of inheritance in Java and its
Inheritance,
types?
yeah. Inheritance in Java is extracting the properties of
Mm-hmm.
you like parent class to the child class. Let's suppose we are having a
Mm-hmm.
class A, and there is a variable that is declared in that particular class. We can
Okay.
use that variable
Mm-hmm.
inside the child class of that particular class.
Okay.
So we are having multiple type like five types of inheritance. They
Inheritance.
are single level, multi-level,
Multiple.
multiple, hierarchical, and hybrid. When come to the single level, there is one
Mm-hmm.
parent class and one child class. Multi-level, one parent class will have a child class. That
Mm-hmm.
child class acts as a parent class to another child
To another
class.
child class.
Yeah.
Mm.
Next is multiple.
Multiple.
Multiple is not like
Possible.
not possible. It is in the diamond shape, and
Mm-hmm.
we will be getting an ambiguity problem, because
Mm-hmm.
let's suppose we are having one parent class, it will be
Mm-hmm.
extracting two child classes, and that two child classes will
Mm-hmm.
extract only a single common
Mm-hmm.
child class. So
Mm-hmm.
this child class, the fourth child class which we are having, it will be
Mm-hmm.
getting confused ki which parent classes objects to be acquired. So
Mm-hmm.
that is the problem over the multiple inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
Next,
Okay.
we are having hierarchical and hybrid. Hierarchical is two different parent classes, two
Mm-hmm.
different child classes will be there. Only a
Mm-hmm.
single parent class will be available for two different child classes. And when we come to the hybrid, it is a
Mm-hmm.
combination of any of the two mm,
Okay.
inheritances.
Okay. Okay. Got it. So can we achieve I mean, solve this multiple inheritance problem in Java through different way? Like
Uh,
we can use something like interface.
Yeah, with the help of the interface, we can
Mm-hmm.
develop this, because the
Mm-hmm.
concept of interfaces, we are declaring the methods but not implementing them, right? So in
Mm-hmm.
that case, we can have a bit helpful with this
Yeah,
one.
yeah. Okay. So can you explain public static void main string args? I mean the entry point of Java application, like what each term, I mean the meaning of each terminology.
Okay, like public static void main.
Mm-hmm.
Public is the like normal access modifier. We will have
No, I mean explain like why are we using? I mean for each term, let's say you started with public, then tell me like why are we using? Cannot we use some other access modifiers?
okay. Let's
Yeah.
suppose we are public static void main string args is the entry point. So
Mm-hmm.
it cannot be like in a protected way because we are anything we are declaring it
Mm-hmm.
is under that class.
In the red
So
class.
it should be public for sure.
So
After
that
that,
yeah,
mm,
JVM can
JVM can
access.
access it.
That's why
JVM
it's
can access.
public.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's why
okay,
it's
got
public.
it. Now,
Mm.
public void. Sorry, static.
Public static void main.
Mm-hmm.
Static is a non-access modifier. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, so like if you want to, the JVM will get into this one, and we will be having a non-access modifier to like
Mm-hmm.
uh, before that we are not declaring any of the variables, static variables. So
Mm-hmm.
it can be like it will be a static thing. Next, void is an access modifier. Main is
Mm-hmm.
the class name and string args.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. So can we overload this main method?
Overload main method.
I mean, can we create us a different main method where will be passing
Mm,
different arguments in the parameter?
no, no, no. We can't overload or overrun
Okay,
main methods.
are you sure?
Here I'm getting a bit confused.
Actually, we can overload, but that would not be entry point.
Okay.
Yeah, we can overload, but JVM will not execute our overloaded main method. JVM will execute only the main entry point,
Main
main method.
public static void main. This one.
Yes, yes. Okay, so second, moving ahead. So, like, can you tell me the difference between method overloading and overriding, and what are their rules?
Okay. Method overloading and overriding. Like these are
Uh,
the concept of polymorphism.
okay.
So here what can we do is in
Mm-hmm.
overloading, we will be
Mm-hmm.
having same method signature, but
Okay.
different types of like
Mm-hmm.
different number of variables or different type of variables inside that particular method. So this will be coming on method overloading, and method overriding means uh,
Mm-hmm.
overriding is same
Mm-hmm.
same method name and different number of arguments. Arguments should be different.
Okay. So, moving ahead, can you explain finally keyword like finally variable, final method, final gas, these three
Okay.
terminology? Yes.
Finally keyword is
No, no, not
basically
finally. Just only final keyword.
final keyword.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you are declaring a class as final, it is
Mm-hmm.
a fixed value and you cannot change. Like if you are declaring a
Mm-hmm.
class as final, that is a fixed and you can't
Mm-hmm.
change the class variables and all variables. Final
Mm-hmm.
variable, we can't change that value. It is a fixed value.
Fixed value. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm, okay. So, like, is there any performance issue by using final keyword or not? We would be having any performance issues or not if we are using final keyword.
With the help of final keyword, performance issues.
Okay. So,
There is
like, yeah. So there would be no. I mean, I just asked this randomly. No performance issues would be there.
okay.
Yeah. So, can you tell me what is JVM and how does it work?
Sorry.
What is JVM and how does it work?
JVM, Java Virtual Machine. It is used to like run the Java program. It is a virtual machine. So what is the advantage of advantage over this is you just there is no requirement of any particular system. We can use it anywhere. Like you can like bind your whole code and send to any other one. It is a like virtual machine. It can be worked anywhere
Okay.
over the universe, and that is the advantage over the JVM, the virtual machine.
Okay. Okay. So let's say you are explaining a group of new developers at your company about how Java code is executed. Okay. Now, how would you describe the role of JVM in running a simple Java program that prints hello world?
So what's happening is when we are going for the JVM, it will firstly convert the human understandable language to the machine understandable language, and after that it will like compile that particular thing. It will go for the main method. It will search for the main method first. When it got the main method, it will look for the any implementations in that particular main method. If you can find a Spring system.out.println method there, we'll go to that and print the hello world and convert it to the human understandable language again, and it will prints on the our console.
Okay. Okay. Got it. So moving ahead. And what is JIT compiler? JIT compiler. Just in time.
Just in time compiler.
Yeah. So do you know about this? Okay. So basically, it's a part of Java runtime environment, JRE, that improves the performance of Java applications by compiling bytecode into native machine code at runtime. Okay. Okay. So yes, Guru, it's done from